Greetings. This is Justin Allen with the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Welcome to the Elite Nurse Practitioner Show, a podcast dedicated to nurse practitioner entrepreneurism and achieving financial freedom, where I talk directly with nurse practitioners who need help. Listen up, our market is saturated. Jobs can be scarce. We are underpaid. We are undervalued. We are taken advantage of by the sharks within the healthcare system, and frankly, screw that. I'm sick of it, and it's time for a change. And listen, I'm here to help make that happen. We are powerful. We can forge a path where we are in control of our career and ultimately our financial and personal well-being. You do not need to submit to healthcare administrators and your doctor overlords. You do not have to take the measly salary. You do not have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. There is a different way, and I'm here to show you that path. This podcast is raw and unfiltered. I have not talked to the nurse practitioners in this podcast prior to the call outside of an email exchange to schedule the episode. What you're about to listen to is a consultation session between a nurse practitioner and myself. It is real, it is unscripted, it is unplanned, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Anything and everything can happen during our conversation. The nurse practitioners in these episodes are struggling with an issue in their professional or financial life, and they have reached out to me for help. My goal is to help the nurse practitioner with actionable advice that will enhance and improve their professional, business, and financial life. My other goal is to hopefully help my nurse practitioner sisters and brothers build a more productive, powerful, and free life. So I hope the content and information within these podcast episodes does just that. All right, onto the episode. Hello everyone, today we'll be talking to Misty, who is a family nurse practitioner. Currently, she works in a palliative care facility where she covers various hospitals, cancer centers, and home visits. She's wanting to start a clinic where she will focus on men's health and weight loss. She's needing advice on how to start this clinic right from the beginning. Hey Misty, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today, Justin?
Hey, doing good. Thanks for hopping on here. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been a nurse practitioner for, and what sorts of things you've been doing.
So I've been a nurse practitioner for 6 years now. I've been a nurse altogether for 17 years. I've worked in a variety of different settings. This most recent one, I've been in palliative medicine for the last 6 years. I've worked in med-surg, I've worked in oncology, I've worked in CICU. I was a branch manager for a home health company, PACU, and like I said, palliative medicine.
Yeah, okay. I'm assuming you enjoy it since you've been doing it for so long.
I do enjoy it. It's very rewarding. You know, there's lots of talks about end of life, but when you can be a part of some of their last wishes, that is the aspect that can be kind of very rewarding when dealing with those type of patients and families, and they're very appreciative of those types of conversations.
Sure, I bet. Yeah, so it's pretty rewarding.
Yeah, it can be. It can get, somewhat depressing at times as well, but it is rewarding in that sense.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, cool. Well, so what are you wanting to do? What are you thinking about doing here?
So I'm thinking about opening a men's health testosterone replacement therapy with some medical weight loss, maybe just some little adjunct services of little, small peptides, injectables, and then maybe later on, if I grow, I can add more services to complement those.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have any experience doing these sorts of things at all, or?
I do not.
No. Okay. Have you took any courses or anything?
I have bought 9 of your courses so far. I bought 2 in the very beginning, which was in about, I think, February. I bought the weight loss course. It was the first one that I got. And then in March, I got the men's health course. And then since then, I bought a bundle. When I got the MP bundle, the your model bundle, and then I bought like a bundle of 7 other courses. And so I've taken most of those. I'm still working on the last 3. So, I get the marketing course, the asset protection course, and the taxes to read through those and be familiar with those even before I ever start this clinic.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, you got to take those courses to kind of get just the good base down, So I really want to cover really foundational stuff in this episode because you basically have the steps in the course, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So with that said, what specific concern or problem do you have that we want to talk about?
So I just want to make sure that I set this thing up correctly. Like I've done a lot of research and I've spent ever since February of this year, really doing a lot of research. I probably drove my poor husband crazy because every evening we're sitting on the couch and I'm researching something. Like I'm constantly on it. I'm trying to stay motivated because I really want to, have this dream of opening my own clinic. It's been something I've talked about kind of jokingly for several years and never really thought that it would be an actual thing that can happen until about February is kind of when it hit. And I thought, I can do this. I could do just like Justin has and all these other nurse practitioners has, and I can do this. So I put a lot of work into it. Virginia recently, so I live in Tennessee, but Virginia is a border state for me, and it's only about 10 minutes down the road. You can do your autonomous practice through them. It used to be 5 years, and I think it was 9,400 hours, but July 1st, that got reduced down. So it's only 3 years now with the supervising physician and 5,400 hours. Since I was already licensed in Virginia, I already got my DEA and stuff in Virginia. I went ahead and applied for that autonomous practice, which took about 6 to 7 weeks to be approved. And that just recently came through last week.
Okay. Well, that'll definitely help, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, what do you want to focus on more, the men's health, the weight loss, or are you thinking about doing both?
Both. Well, probably both equally. I guess one of my fears is because I'm not a man, is that going to hinder me as far as trying to do a men's health clinic or testosterone replacement therapy? Would they look at me like I can't help them? Like, I think I would rather stay on the men's side versus women's side for now. Just because some of the things that has been said in your podcast, like women are so much more complex than men.
Yeah, men's health is definitely a hell of a lot easier. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, good news is that it's relatively easy to do men's health. Okay. It's not really complicated. I mean, the stuff you do in palliative care is probably more complicated than testosterone replacement therapy in a male. Okay. So it's really simple. I mean, I tell people if you can manage someone's blood pressure, you can manage someone's testosterone. Like there's really nothing to it. Okay. So I guess the big thing with it is that just make sure, to do this right, make sure that you're going to be easily found. Do you have competition in your area?
So in Tennessee side, there is a lot of competition. It's very saturated. I live around the Tri-Cities area where it's Kingsport, Bristol, Johnson City.
Yep.
It is saturated. Going over on the Virginia side, it's not near as saturated. And in the little tiny small town that I will be in, as far as I know, there's nobody doing it right there in that little area. Now, I'm hoping to hit that small town goal, but you go 15 minutes, then you run into a very saturated area. But I was just told the other day that I've got a friend that works on 1 day a week at a testosterone replacement therapy here locally, and they're seeing people coming about 3 hours away to that particular clinic. So if I could head some of those off and save them about a 35-minute drive, that would really be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if you can save someone, a 20-30-minute drive, they'll definitely, go to you. So yeah. So I think that it's definitely something to definitely consider. Now, what about weight loss? Is there a lot of competition? I'm assuming there probably is.
Yeah, about the same. Yeah, but in that little area, like I said, nobody's really doing that. But it's saturated 15 minutes down the road.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, it sounds like you might have a nice little niche area. So, I think one big piece of advice for you here, since there is some saturation in the area in general, I mean, I'm kind of familiar with that area. So if there is some saturation in that area, then I would recommend that don't invest too much into it. Like by that, I mean, don't spend a lot of money starting this up because there is some saturation. So that does decrease your chances of success somewhat. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to succeed. Okay. It's not what I'm saying, right. But I'm saying that your chances of like crazy success are probably going to be lower. Like in a saturated area, can you build a clinic that gets to $100,000 a month? It's going to be pretty hard. But could you get to $20,000 a month and have a nice little side income? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth doing. I just probably wouldn't invest more than like $10,000 into it. Do you have about 10 grand to put in this?
Yes, I've been saving money ever since about February when I really decided I was going to get this going. So I've been saving ever since then. So I have the 10 grand already set away to be able to start this.
Okay, cool. So with that said, I would probably just pick a small office spot. Okay. You don't need anything crazy here. 500 to 1,000 square feet should be enough. Okay.
Okay.
So 500 to 1,000 square feet, try to get it on the main road if you can. Furnishing it, cheap, just buy stuff at garage sales, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, whatever. Just simple. Keep it very, very simple because men's health and weight loss in general doesn't really require a lot of supplies, a lot of equipment, that sort of a thing. So just keep it very simple. Okay. So just keep it cheap, keep it simple because a cheaply started business is a business that can be cheaply closed. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So don't put too much money into it. Now, your objective here, since the area is saturated, you're definitely going to want to try to focus on just being found very easily. I mean, you can do some Google search ads. So if someone in the area is looking for testosterone replacement therapy or weight loss or whatever, you should come up. Okay. For your Google business listing, get as many reviews as you possibly can. Friends, family, whatever. Okay. Get a lot of reviews on there and use a Google search ad. A billboard just in that little area might not be a bad idea because there could be people in that area that are driving down to, Johnson City or whatever, for example, getting testosterone replacement therapy. And they might live in the area that you're going to open up. So if you put a little billboard up or something, like, oh, okay, so we're local here, save me 30-minute drive, why wouldn't they come to you? Right.
Yeah.
So I would probably just keep it at that for a little while, just have a website, Google business listing, Google search ads, maybe put a little billboard up, and I would just call it a day in terms of marketing with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would leave it at that. Now, pricing, since there is some competition in the area, pricing it, you're going to need to be very competitive. So what you need to do is you need to call around and see what everyone else is charging for testosterone replacement therapy, weight loss, etc., and undercut them.
Okay.
You don't have to undercut them by a lot, maybe 10%.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what people are charging for that kind of thing?
I've known a couple clinics around here. The one girl that does it that I'm very familiar with, they do mostly just weekly injections instead of doing the vials and having it sent to their home. So I do have some ideas on pricing there, but as far as like monthly pricing, I'm not sure about this area. I haven't really took the time to make those calls yet. I knew that was something that I was going to end up doing in the future, but a couple places does have pricing listed online. So I kind of looked at those as well.
Okay. Do you think that undercutting it will still result in a profit?
I mean, I hope so, and I think so. And I think if I can market correctly and if people knows I'm in the area, I think I could capture some of those that's driving an extra, 35, 40 minutes out of the way. I've also got a couple of friends that's in primary care that is going to be able to refer to me if they can't, do them in clinic, if their numbers don't look quite enough. That they're going to refer to me as well. So that's going to be helpful. Plus, I plan on going out and talking to more local primary care physicians and stuff to kind of market that way too. Just some boots on the ground work.
Yeah. Okay. I wouldn't expect a whole lot from that because a lot of primary care practices probably have some sort of cash option for testosterone or something like that. And so I doubt they'd be referring a whole lot of people to you because most of your private primary care practices are going to be insurance based. So I don't think it's going to be really worth your time that much. I would go more places where the men are going to be or where the weight loss clients are going to be, like gyms and, places like that.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So any questions there?
No, I guess location was one of my issues is if I go to the town that I really kind of wanted to kind of start in, which was over around like Bristol, Virginia area, definitely on that Virginia side. They're building a whole new casino over there, and that place is kind of up and coming. There is, like I said, some competition over there, but nothing like the Kingsport, Johnson City area has. but it's just so expensive over there. It's, the monthly rent is anywhere from 1,600 to $2,000 plus a month. So then I started looking in a more smaller town, which is around in Scott County. It's Weber City, Virginia area, Gate City area. And I found 2 locations there that looks kind of promising. One is directly on a very busy road that leads straight over into the state line or into the Tennessee area. And then there's another one that is still on a main road, but it's off of that particular main road. But the pricing there is just can't be beat. She's only wanting like $600 a month. It's a very cute little location. It's already kind of set up just like a little small town clinic. And that's all utilities except for internet. And then the other location that's on that more busier road, it is $1,000 a month, plus utilities. So plus electricity, water, internet, and the pricing just recently went up, and I expect that pricing to go up again.
Yeah. I would avoid somewhere it's going to be super expensive. I don't know if that's a really great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with a $10,000 budget, and especially in an area that's pretty saturated. I feel like that's going to be an uphill battle for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, so this isn't terribly complicated. You're in a kind of a saturated area, so again, go into this with realistic expectations. Don't expect to have $1 million practice. I mean,
Right.
Is it possible? It's possible, but I would go into it with a realistic expectation. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, outside of just, some basic marketing, having a nice website, a simple clinic, keeping your budget under $10,000, that's really about it. As long as you integrate the stuff that's in the course, you should do okay. I would say that with the men's health and the weight loss, try to keep the service line pretty slim. Don't offer too many things. Don't overcomplicate it. Like, you don't want to be one of those clinics where you go on their website and you're just like, what the hell do these people do? There's so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So kind of keep it simple and keep it very, very specific. Weight loss is one of those things that really is going to be both sexes. Probably a lot more women will actually do it compared to men.
Yeah.
So you also want to navigate that too, So, name your practice whatever, men's health and weight loss clinic. The problem with that, though, is if you put men's health in the name and weight loss clinic, a lot of women might see that and they might think to themselves, well, do you treat women? All right. I hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick break to thank everyone listening and also give a big thank you to all of my social media followers and email subscribers. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our email list at www.elitenp.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Email subscribers will receive updates on new weekly podcast episodes, multiple weekly articles we publish, new courses, and everything else related to helping you succeed. Remember, all Elite Nurse Practitioner courses are designed to help you build a niche practice, increase your financial strength, and to break free from the rat race. If I can break free and that other countless nurse practitioners can break free, then so can you. Additionally, please share this podcast with your other nurse practitioner sisters and brothers out there. The more NPs that venture out on their own, the stronger our profession will become. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Yes, I have struggled with naming for months, and I've kind of hit that analysis paralysis as far as just the naming goes, because I wasn't for sure how to put it. If I would just put it more, more vaguely, like I'm thinking about using like Peak Physique of Southwest Virginia, and not add men's health in that, but put it in a subheading. That way I can put it on my Google listing. I can put it in a subheading, but it's not really out there for everybody to see men's health. That way, just like Peak Physique of Southwest Virginia, specializing in testosterone replacement therapy and medical weight loss.
Yeah. That might work. just make sure it's very clear on your website that you treat men and women.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. You could even call it something testosterone clinic and weight loss, and maybe not, and maybe just kind of skip the men's health. I mean, treating women with testosterone replacement therapy is relatively easy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah. So that might be a better option. Testosterone replacement therapy and weight loss clinic. People go on your website. You say treating men and women with testosterone replacement therapy, and then go over the benefits of each one for each sex.
For each. Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. That way you're not pigeonholing yourself with the weight loss because you might find that the weight loss might end up becoming more profitable. Um, so yeah,
okay. Yeah. Yeah. That sounds good.
yeah, yeah. Um, any other questions?
Um, I, yes. As far as doing like a PLLC versus an LLC, Virginia, I'm not required to, but I can do that. Does it make you look more professional whenever you have that professional limited liability company versus just an LLC?
I mean, a limited liability company is an LLC, so
Yeah.
yeah. So just an LLC is fine. It doesn't really. Nobody's going to care if it's a corporation or if it's an LLC or if it's an S corp. Like no one's going to care. They just want to come in for treatment. They just don't give a shit.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. So that professional, that doesn't really matter as far as doing that. Just a regular one is fine.
correct. Just a regular LLC. Don't complicate it.
Yeah. Okay. I really wanted to do like the holding company from Wyoming, but I, think starting off just to save some money that, if this happens to turn out to be more successful than later on, a year from now when you go to renew, maybe do that. So what are your thoughts about having that just for asset protection? Because I'm really concerned about asset protection. Like I want all that to be kind of secure.
What's your net worth? I mean, how much do you have in terms of assets goes?
I mean, right now, maybe 500,000. But I hope that increases with the clinic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if your net worth is $500,000, then it typically is recommended that you have a trust and you put those assets in that trust to kind of help protect you. Now, you'll have medical malpractice, which in theory should completely cover you for everything, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So I don't think I would lose too much sleep over it.
Right.
Just put the house or put your brokerage account or, put your investments or whatever in that trust, keep it totally separate. And then in the event of a lawsuit or whatever, you, you know, those assets in that trust should be protected.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely thought about that. And I talked to a business lawyer about that already. And I think they charge about $3,500 for that trust. So I plan on doing that. I don't think I'll start off with that. I do want to do that as soon as possible, though, because you can't, like you said in many, many podcasts, like once a lawsuit starts, you can't do anything about it. But maybe a year from now, once I do have some profits, then I can afford that $3,500 to do that because I really don't want to lose that. Put the 3,500 out of my 10, and then really limit how much I have to start the rest of the business, if that makes sense.
Well, if it was me, I would get that trust as soon as possible. The longer you have the trust, the more it protects your assets. Okay.
Yep.
So I would just save an extra $3,500 or whatever it costs to get the trust set up and just get it done. Because like I said, the earlier you have it, the more protection you have. Like you set up a trust and let's say you get sued 4 months later, the judge might say, hey, this trust is too new. We're not going to really allow the protection. But if it's 5 years old or 10 years old, then it's pretty safe.
Yeah. Yeah. And if that trust is set up pre-business opening,
Even
that
better.
looks, yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah. Even better. Now, don't put any liabilities in that trust though, okay? Like don't put your LLC in there. Don't put vehicles in there. Don't put any kind of liabilities in there. It's basically just your house and your investments.
Okay.
Yeah, any other questions?
One of the things I keep seeing pop up all over like the Elite MP group is about credit card fraud. A lot of people's experience in that. How can you kind of head that off? Is it just a matter of putting it into some of the paperwork, getting patients to sign it. Are you having issues with that?
No, not really. I personally haven't had any issues with it. I haven't really talked to a lot of people who have. I don't think I'd worry too much about it.
Okay. I've heard of several people recently that somebody went into the clinic and, purchased some different services, and some of those equaling up, $3,500 or some things. It was more of like an aesthetics clinic, and then went back later on and said that it was fraud charges. And even though the clinic itself had provided all the paperwork that they had already signed, and the sign-in sheet that they have out in the main office, that credit card company still sided with that person, and so the clinic.
Yeah, so you're talking about chargebacks. I mean, yeah, it happens. I mean, I think at my men's health clinic in the last 5 years or whatever, we might have had a handful of chargebacks. At the end of the day, yeah, you can send them medical records and receipts and things like that. Credit card companies are normally going to side with the credit card holder, okay?
Uh-huh.
It just is what it is. Like, most times you're going to lose to that chargeback.
Yeah.
Okay? But don't worry about it. Not a whole lot of people do it. Like, I'm telling you, it's been a handful of times in 5 years. Like, just don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That makes me feel a lot better about that.
Yeah.
Now, I will need a separate DEA license for this particular clinic, right? Because it's got to be associated with the business address.
Correct. Yeah. So if you're going to give testosterone injections there, your DEA will need to be associated with that address. Okay. So your DEA with the palliative care is probably associated with that because you have to get morphine or whatever. Yeah. So you'll need to buy another DEA, which unfortunately is going to be, like $900 or whatever it is.
Yeah. I'm aware. I got that budgeted, so that's fine on that.
Yeah.
And I've reached out to a few different malpractice groups. I think the preferred vendor is the wellness group. Is that right? Do y'all also use Clifton at all? Because when I reached out to them, they said there was no kind of discounts at all.
No, we haven't made a deal with Clifton or anything like that. But at the end of the day, the cheapest option's probably just going to be CMNF Group.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably going to cost you a few $1,000, especially since it's going to be a part-time clinic. So
yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll be still working full-time, obviously, in my job and trying to follow your model until my contract ends up in June of 2025. So then I can decide what to do from there. Do I want to stay full-time? Do I want to jump down to part-time? Do I want to do kind of PRN and then just decide how many days a week I want to work? And it all just going to kind of depend where the clinic is. It'd be great if this could end up being more of a full-time thing. I still think I would want to stay with palliative to some degree, even if it's just 1 day a week, every week, and then try to do this the other 4 to 5 days a week. That would be ideal. But if it don't work out that way, then, hey, I've still got a job that I enjoy as well.
Yeah. I would go into this expecting maybe just 10 hours a week at first. Okay. Like, it'll probably be 6 to 12 months before you start putting more time into it. Like, it doesn't really require that much time.
Yeah. And that is about the time that my contract would be up.
Yeah, there you go. Then you can just pivot from there and figure it out. So, yeah. So just go into it with just, say about 10 hours a week at first, and just leave it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds good.
Any other questions?
Any other thing that I can do as far as asset protection other than the trust that we already talked about? Can you think of anything else that I could do?
I mean, really, it's the gold standard. Just spend the few $1,000s and get it and put your assets in it and call it a day. Like, that's really the big thing. Like, you have your malpractice insurance, you have a trust where you put your assets into it. For that to fail, it would have to be something so catastrophic that it wouldn't even cross your mind about what would happen. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I used to stress out a lot about it, ruminate about it, and that sort of a thing. And I just found it was just kind of a waste of time. Like, don't worry about it. Don't worry too much about it. Just get the trust, get your malpractice, practice safely, and you should be okay.
Okay. I get into these little, analysis paralysis little things, and then I can just hear your voice in the background just saying, just don't worry about it. It's probably not that important. Or just that leash, just open the doors, just start seeing patients.
Right, exactly. Just get the door open, start seeing patients. Don't stress out about it too much. Like all these little details are really just kind of a waste of your energy and time.
Yeah. Just keep it simple.
Yep, exactly. So, okay, cool. Well, I like to end these episodes with you asking me a question. Do you have any questions specifically for me? Any curiosity?
I actually do. I have been planning on these questions for quite some time now. So, there's a couple, if you don't mind answer those. And sometimes people has none whatsoever, but I've got a couple if you don't mind to answer those. I know you've got some hobbies. We don't hear a whole lot about Justin and what Justin likes to do other than the things that you're doing. And I know you've got a few hobbies like the Arrowhead. You talked about doing like a wine bar at one point. So what kind of other hobbies do you enjoy? And did you ever start your wine bar?
I did not start the wine bar. I decided against it because I decided to not necessarily quit drinking, but not drink as much. And so I figured if I had a wine bar, it would just basically give me an opportunity to drink too much probably. So I was I tend to maybe drink too much sometimes. And if I had a wine bar, it would just be too much of a temptation. You know what I mean?
I totally understand, but I secretly would love to own like a distillery or a brewery.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a lot of fun, but I just don't know if it'd be very fun for my body and mind. You know what I mean? Yeah. But right now, I mean, I was getting back into golf and doing some things like that, and I'm 40 years old now, and my back just doesn't do it very much anymore for me. So, yeah. So right now I'm kind of getting back into, I do a lot of hiking, getting ready to move to Colorado. So I'm going to start doing a lot more fishing and stuff there. Trying to focus on my family, my kid, that sort of a thing. And just really, I think one of my big hobbies right now is just more or less learning how to be content, learning how to quiet my mind, just learning how to just be peaceful, like just learning how to just sit on the porch in a chair and just sit there and just be peaceful. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes perfect sense. I do everything sitting on my back patio watching the sunset.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So I'm just trying to learn how to just be in the moment, I suppose. So I guess it's kind of one of those things that I'm really trying to work on. So,
okay. All right. So, yeah. My question would be, I know you've been really trying to systemize your businesses and trying to get everything down to where you can basically just go off in a camper for months at a time if you choose to. So have you done that? And what does the next 5 years kind of look for you?
Yeah, most of my businesses are completely systemized at this point. I don't really, like today's Wednesday, and that's the day I typically see patients at my men's health clinic. And I mean, I saw patients for maybe 2 hours, just all telemed, just like 2 hours. That was about it. And, just did that. And that's pretty much the only time I spend on my men's health clinic anymore, really. Like my manager and my MAs, I mean, they do all the work for me. Even with like a lead NP, I have a lot of virtual assistants and project, directors that do a lot of the work for me. I just basically do podcasts and create courses and write content anymore. So yeah, like if I wanted to, could I get into a camper and just go for a couple months? Yeah, I could.
That's the dream right there. That's the dream.
That's the dream. The problem is I have a 2-year-old, and that would be pretty hard. So yeah, but you can get there. You just got to start. And then once you start getting busy, then worry about systemizing it. But just right now, your objective is just get the door open and get the, $20,000 a month. Like that's your goal right now. Everything else is noise for now. So.
Yes. Totally agree with that. Totally agree.
So cool. All right. Well, this was a good episode. I wish you luck. Again, you're in a saturated area, but I think you can do well as long as you just go into a realistic expectations. So if you do that, you should be okay.
All right. That sounds great. Maybe we can follow up a year from now and just kind of see where things are.
Yeah, 100%. Just holler back at me and we'll do a follow-up.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, I just want to say that I truly thank you for all that you've done to help all your fellow MPs. And I think that you have really just kind of made a difference in our profession. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
All right. You are welcome. And that makes me keep doing what I'm doing. So thank you very much.
Awesome. You're very welcome. Hope you have a good one.
All right. Take care. Bye. All right, hope everyone enjoyed the episode with Misty. Pretty short and concise episode there. You know, the big thing is that when you're going into a saturated area, go into it with realistic expectations. Starting a practice in a small town or a medium-sized town that doesn't have a whole lot of competition is definitely going to increase your chances of success. But if you are kind of stuck in an area that's somewhat saturated, even in the towns around your area, and you still want to get started, don't let that hold you back. You still can succeed, but just go into it with realistic expectations. Can that clinic turn to $1 million practice? It can, but go into it realistically, because you might just make $20,000 or $30,000 extra a month, which is still fantastic money, okay? So just go into this with realistic expectations if you are in a saturated market. I hope everyone enjoys this episode. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the show. Quick legal disclaimer. The content of this podcast is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as legal, financial, medical, regulatory, or practice-specific advice. For information pertaining to your specific legal, financial, medical, or practice-specific needs, please be sure to consult with your lawyer, CPA, medical director, and or your state's practice laws and the most up-to-date clinical guidelines. As always, do your due diligence when it comes to any information found online and in podcasts. The content in this podcast is copyrighted by Galaxy Medical Southwest 2023 and cannot be duplicated, rebroadcasted, or reproduced without our written permission.